galactic order and humanity's rejection of the galaxy was old, cold, and full of rules, for thousands of cycles. The Galactic Council controlled the stars, every world had a place, and every species knew its rank. Peace existed, but only for those who obeyed. Among these worlds was Karun, a bright ocean planet, ruled by an ancient alien race. They believed the Council protected them. They believed the galaxy was stable. They believed nothing could truly end them. Karun had never known real fear. Its cities floated above endless seas. Its people trusted shields, fleets, and treaties, older than memory. War was something that happened far away, to lesser species. Then the signals began to fail. At first it was small. Trade beacons went silent. Long-range sensors showed shadows. Where stars should be, the Council sent no answers. When the enemy came, it was not a single fleet. It was a moving darkness, a force that broke gravity and burned oceans into steam. Karun's defenses fired with perfect order, but it did not matter. The sky cracked open. Cities fell into the sea. Millions died without understanding why. The Council fleets arrived late. They watched, measured, and calculated risk. Karun was judged as acceptable loss. The ancient race learned the truth in their final hours. The galaxy did not care about them. Evacuation ships fled into deep space. Only a few survived. One of them carried an observer, a historian of the Council. His task was to record the end, not to prevent it. As Karun burned behind him, fear replaced faith. Everything he believed about order and safety shattered. The universe was not fair. The Council was not kind. In the refugee zones, whispers spread. Other worlds were falling. Other species were being tested. The galaxy was entering a dangerous age. During one Council session, many topics were discussed. Lost worlds, broken borders, rising threats. Then a small subject appeared, almost ignored. A young species from a blue planet, located far from the galactic core, emotionally unstable, short-lived, and divided. They called themselves humans. The Council records showed wars, cruelty, and chaos. Humans fought each other more than the universe ever fought them. They had weak fleets and poor technology, no ancient wisdom, no patience, no unity. Some suggested guiding them. Others warned that humans were dangerous in strange ways, too emotional, too stubborn, too willing to die. The decision was quick. Humanity was rejected from full galactic status. They were denied protection and access, labeled insignificant, unstable, and not worth the risk. To the alien historian, humans seemed small and doomed, a species that would fade when real pressure came. The galaxy had no time for weak creatures, yet as more worlds burned, a strange pattern appeared. Ancient races collapsed. Under fear, perfect systems failed when pain arrived. Far away, on a forgotten edge of space, human ships drifted alone, unaware of what was coming. Unnoticed by most of the galaxy, the historian felt something new then, not hope, but unease, a thought he could not explain. The Council had rejected humanity, but the universe was changing, and something was waking in the dark. As the stars continued to fall, one question remained unspoken. What happens when a weak species is left alone in a cruel universe, with nothing to lose, and nowhere to run? Exile into the dark. Humanity did not hear the Council's judgment with anger at first. They heard it with silence. The message was short, and cold Earth was denied protection. Human space was removed from shared maps. No fleets would answer their calls to the galaxy. Humans were now alone, at the edge of known space. Human colonies felt the change quickly. Trade ships stopped arriving. Navigation data grew old. Warning beacons went dark, one by one. The universe did not attack at once. It waited. Pirate species moved in first. Then scavenger fleets. Then silent forces that did not speak or threaten. They simply tested defenses. Human outposts burned. Stations were lost. Millions were forced to flee deeper into space, from the alien perspective. This was expected. Humans panicked. Humans fought among themselves. Humans screamed into the void. With no answer, Council observers watched from afar. They recorded losses. They marked humanity as collapsing. On Earth, the truth became clear. No one was coming. No ancient empire would save them. No rule protected the weak. Fear spread fast, but something else followed. Humans had lived with fear before. They had known war, hunger, and extinction threats on their own world. Pain was not new to them. As colonies fell, survivors adapted. Ships were rebuilt from wreckage. Weapons were made from mining tools. Defense plans were rewritten again and again. Human leaders stopped speaking of peace. They spoke of children grew up in shelters and damaged stations. They learned that space was cruel. They learned that survival was earned, not given. Alien raiders expected surrender. Instead, they met resistance that did not retreat. Human ships stayed in, battled even when engines failed. Human crews fought on with no escape routes. Losses were heavy. Entire fleets vanished. Entire families were erased. Each loss cut deep, but instead of breaking, it hardened them. Pain became memory. Memory became anger. Anger became focus. Far away, the alien historian continued his reports. He noted something unusual. Human casualty numbers were extreme, yet their activity did not decrease. Where other species pulled back to protect what remained, humans pushed forward to protect nothing but each other. The galaxy still laughed quietly. They called it desperation. They said humans were burning themselves out. What they did not see was what exile allowed. No council laws, no limits, no one watching closely anymore. In hidden systems, humans began to build. Not cities, not monuments, but shelters, shipyards, and training zones. They stopped asking how to win. They asked how to survive anything. Human designs grew strange. Ships built to fight while broken. Crews trained to act without orders. Systems designed to adapt mid-battle. Still, no one feared them. They were too small, too young, too damaged. Then the signals began again. Not from alien space, but from beyond known maps. Stars dimmed. Sensor echoes returned wrong. Something vast was moving, and humanity was closer to it than anyone realized. At the edge of dark space, a human scout ship sent one final data burst, then vanished without a trace. For the first time, humanity understood this truth. Exile was not the end. It was the beginning of a test, and the universe had just noticed them. And the galaxy laughs. While humanity changes, the galaxy continued to move, as it always had. Ancient empires traded, planned, and argued in safe halls of power. Worlds fell at the edges, but the core believed itself untouchable. To them, humanity was already finished. Council records listed Earth as unstable and declining. Human space was marked in gray, a problem that would solve itself with time. Alien scholars laughed quietly. Humans were too emotional, too divided, too weak to survive a hostile universe. They believed suffering would break them. What they did not understand was that humans had been breaking for centuries, and had learned how to stand again in the dark regions beyond mapped space. Human survivors gathered, not in great cities, but in scattered fleets and hidden stations. Life was harsh, food was limited, and safety did not exist. Fear became normal, loss became routine. Entire generations grew up knowing only alarms and evacuation drills. They did not ask why the universe was cruel. They asked how to live inside it. Human training changed. Soldiers were taught to fight while afraid. Pilots learned to fly with damaged minds and damaged ships. Engineers learned to repair systems while under fire. Human commanders noticed something strange. Units that had lost the most fought the hardest. Crews that had nowhere to return to refused to retreat. Pain did not weaken them, it focused them. Their ships became reflections of this mindset. No smooth designs, no elegant forms. Only thick armor, backup systems, and brutal efficiency. Human vessels were built to keep moving even when half destroyed. Weapons were designed to function with missing power. Life support was made to fail slowly, not suddenly. Alien scouts occasionally crossed human space. They saw wreckage, scars, and old battlefields. They reported decay and desperation. The Council agreed. Humanity was bleeding out. What they failed to notice was growth hidden inside the damage. Where other species avoided death, humans planned around it. Escape pods were replaced with last stand stations. Retreat routes were replaced with reinforcement paths. Humans stopped asking how to survive safely. They asked how to survive longer than the enemy. In deep space, a new human fleet gathered quietly. No flags, no signals, no messages sent. It was not large, but it was different. Every ship carried crews who had already lost everything. Families, homes, entire worlds. They did not fear dying. They feared failing each other. The alien historian noticed increased human activity. Ship movement increased instead of decreased. Manufacturing output rose despite losses. This confused him. No logical model explained it. Other species collapsed under far less pressure. They begged the Council for aid. They surrendered. Territory to survive. Humans did neither. They did not ask for help. They did not offer surrender. In council chambers, laughter continued. Humans were called reckless, primitive, a danger only to themselves. Then the deep sensors began to change, beyond known space. Signals returned distorted, gravity readings bent. Wrong. Something ancient stirred where maps ended. Alien fleets pulled back. They chose safety. They chose caution. Humans did not. Their scouts moved closer, not because they were brave, but because they could not afford ignorance. One human fleet crossed a boundary no council ship had crossed in ages. They entered the dark region where stars faded. What they found there was not empty space, not ruins, not silence. It was movement. Something vast shifted between systems, something that did not care about borders or councils. The human fleet sent a warning signal. Short, broken, and rushed. Then the transmission cut. No wreckage followed. No survivors returned. The galaxy dismissed it as another human loss. But in hidden human space, alarm spread quietly. Human commanders understood one thing. Whatever lived in the dark, humanity was no longer invisible. And the universe was about to test them harder than ever before. The first shock to the galaxy, the warning sent by the lost human fleet, reached Earth in fragments. Broken data, warped images, and impossible readings. Most of it made no sense. But one truth was clear. Something vast had noticed them. Human command did not panic. They did not deny it. They prepared. While the galaxy turned inward, humans moved outward. Alien empires sealed borders. Council fleets withdrew to defend its systems. They chose to protect what they had left. Humans had nothing left to protect, only each other. New fleets were formed from survivors and damaged ships. No ceremonies, no speeches, only orders and quiet understanding. Every human knew the risk. Every human accepted it, from the alien perspective. This was madness. Why move toward danger? Why face the unknown? Why not hide? Council observers mocked the reports. They claimed humans were chasing ghosts. That fear had finally broken their logic. Then the stars near the frontier began to vanish. Entire systems went dark, not destroyed, not exploded, simply gone. Gravity waves struck nearby sectors. Time readings failed. Ancient sensors screamed and shut down. Panic spread through alien space. But response was slow. Debate replaced action. By the time council fleets mobilized, the threat was already moving toward core space. That was when humanity arrived. Human fleets emerged from deep space without warning. Scarred ships, mismatched designs, and burned hulls. They looked like wreckage held together by will alone. Alien commanders expected them to retreat, to run, to break. Instead, human ships accelerated. They entered the dark zone first, before council approval, before full data. The encounter was brief and brutal. Sensors showed massive shapes bending space, energy that erased matter, forces that ignored shields. Human ships were torn apart. Whole squadrons vanished in seconds. Yet the remaining ships did not flee. They adapted. Human weapons changed fire patterns. Mid-battle, engines overloaded beyond safety limits. Crews rerouted power manually as systems failed. They learned through loss. Every destroyed ship gave data. Every death gave insight. Alien fleets, watching from distance, were stunned. Humans did not disengage after damaged thresholds. They pushed closer as losses increased. Where other species would withdraw, humans advanced. One human task force executed a maneuver no alien doctrine allowed. They sacrificed 3 ships to trap the entity's movement using gravity weapons built from mining tech. The maneuver worked. The dark mass slowed. For the first time, it reacted. That reaction sent shockwaves across the sector. Stars flared, space twisted. Council fleets finally joined the fight. But by then, the battle shape was already human-made. The threat was driven back, not destroyed, but wounded. Forced to retreat into the dark beyond mapped space, silence followed. Alien commanders stared at the battlefield in disbelief. Human wreckage filled the void, yet the sector still existed. Billions of lives were saved, not by ancient fleets, not by council law, but by a species the galaxy had rejected. Council records updated slowly. Humanity's status changed from insignificant to anomaly. Fear replaced laughter. For the first time, alien leaders asked the same question in private. If humans could face that darkness without fear, what would they become if pushed further? As recovery operations began, human long-range sensors picked up a final signal. The dark entity was not alone. More shapes moved in the void, awakening, turning toward known space, and this time, they were coming for humanity first. Humanity breaks the balance. The galaxy did not thank humanity. It feared them. Council space was filled with quiet panic. Ancient leaders reviewed battle data again and again. Human ships should have failed. Human tactics should not have worked. Yet the sector still lived, and the darkness had retreated. Alien analysts searched for logic. They blamed luck, desperation, madness. They told themselves humans could not repeat such resistance. So the Council chose control. Human fleets were ordered to withdraw. Borders were reinforced. Information was restricted. Human access to shared space was limited even further. To the Council, humans were no longer weak. They were dangerous, behind closed chambers. Some argued for cooperation. Most argued for containment. A few argued for elimination. While the galaxy debated, the darkness moved again. Human senses detected it first. Not because they were more advanced, but because humans were watching the dark constantly. Multiple entities shifted beyond the frontier, not rushing, not hiding, learning. Human command understood the truth. The first battle had been a test. Humanity did not wait for permission. New fleets launched immediately, not large, not polished, but fast and adaptable. Every ship carried updated data from the first encounter. Every crew knew the cost. Every crew accepted it. Alien empires saw this as defiance. Council orders were ignored. Human fleets crossed restricted zones without apology. Some alien patrols attempted to stop them. Human ships did not attack. They simply did not stop. The first real clash between humans and a Council-aligned fleet was short. Human vessels absorbed fire, returned precise strikes, and continued forward. No threats were spoken. No warnings sent. The message was clear without words. Do not stand in the way. As the darkness advanced, alien fleets fell back again. They protected capitals. They protected history. Humans moved to protect space itself. The second major battle was worse than the first. The entities adapted. They struck faster, hit harder. Human losses were extreme. Entire formations disappeared. Command ships were lost, but human fleets did not collapse. New tactics emerged mid-fight. Human pilots flew into impossible zones to gather data. Human engineers rewrote systems during combat. Pain spread through every channel, yet no retreat order came. Humans fought until ships stopped moving, then fought from wreckage, then fought with automated systems after crews were gone. The darkness was slowed again, then wounded again. Alien observers were no longer laughing, they were silent, watching humans absorb damage that would shatter any other species. Council leaders realized something too late. Humans did not fight to preserve power. They fought to deny loss. Every world save mattered, even alien worlds that had rejected them. By the end of the engagement, the entities withdrew once more. But this time, they did not flee blindly. They regrouped. The cost was staggering. Human fleet strength dropped sharply. Earth mourned millions. Entire colonies went dark forever. Yet, production did not slow. Recruitment increased. Training intensified. Pain did not weaken humanity. It unified them. Council space fractured under fear. Some species demanded alliance with humans. Others demanded strikes before humans grew stronger. The old balance of power was breaking as humanity prepared for the next wave. A captured data fragment from the darkness was finally decoded. It was not a map, not a signal, not a threat. It was recognition. The entities were changing course, redirecting their full movement pattern toward one place, Earth, and this time, they were not testing. An empire forged in refusal. The warning reached Earth before the first stars went dark. The entities were moving with purpose now, not drifting, not testing, hunting. For the first time in recorded history, the threat had a target, Earth, across the galaxy. Panic turned into chaos. Council chambers dissolved into shouting and blame. Ancient alliances broke overnight. Fleets abandoned border worlds and raced home. Many species prepared to sacrifice entire regions just to buy time. humanity did not run. On Earth, in every surviving colony, preparations began at once. No speeches were given. No false hope was spread. Humans had learned a hard truth early. Survival was not about comfort. It was about choice. And humanity chose to stand. Every remaining ship was recalled. Civilian vessels were converted into carriers. Mining stations became weapon platforms. Shipyards worked without pause. Earth itself changed. Oceans hid factories. Moons became fortresses. Asteroids were chained together into defense rings. This was not a fleet. It was a wall. Alien observers watched in disbelief. Humans were not building to escape. They were building to endure impact. Council leaders finally sent messages. Offers of alliance, apologies, requests for coordination. Humanity did not reject them, but they did not wait either. The defense of Earth would happen on human terms. When the entities arrived, the stars dimmed across the system. Space twisted under their mass. Sensors failed instantly. The first wave struck like a silent storm. Entire defense platforms vanished. The void itself seemed to tear open. Human losses were immediate and brutal. Millions died in the opening moments. And still, the line held. Human ships did not retreat when shields failed. They moved closer, using their own destruction as data. Every loss fed the next response. Every sacrifice sharpened the defense. The entities adapted, but so did humanity. Where the darkness bent gravity, humans anchored it. Where it erased matter, humans flooded.